Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are located in which time zone in the wonderful US of A, North America, or possibly even internationally. So thanks everybody for joining. We've posted a poll and would appreciate any feedback if you could provide. That would be great. So just a couple housekeeping rules. We have entered you all in on mute, so the audio is not available. But if you have a question or that you would like to know about during this demonstration, please use the Q&A section in this webinar, and we'll be more than happy to address it for you and get back with you. So today's presenters are myself, Colleen Schills. I'm the Director of Client Account Management at Crestwood. And with me, I have the wonderful Lori Bolsinger, our Solution Architect. And Lori is going to demonstrate our Advanced Commissions module for us today. I'm going to walk through a couple of slides real quick just to touch on a few topics. One is our Crestwood products. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, not only is Crestwood a value-added reseller with Acumatica, but we're also an ISV. We have different products in market that we sell to our client base as well as to the other clients in the channel and through your partner. So we have 5 different products out there. Today we're going to focus on advanced commissions, but we also have an auto kitting, our concurrent module, lockbox processing, and collections management. We've been doing a webinar pretty much every month on our different products. So if you have not been able to attend a webinar on one of these products, feel free to reach out, look on our website for the prior event, and the recording will be available for you to access. But we're happy to talk with you, showcase any of these products for you. So while we move through this, let's take a look at a little bit about our advanced commissions module before I turn it over to Lori. So at the end of the day, what does our advanced commissions module do? The end result is that it's producing efficient payouts for you, for your organization, for your sales team. And as we know, the one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to mess with people's pay. Our advanced commissions module allows you to do a couple of different things. You can set up flexible commission plans. We have different criteria that you can set that up under, whether it be based on sales, profit, and so on. We also have the ability to automate those calculations. So that way, you set it on a schedule and it runs just, standard process out of Acumatica. You can set it up on a schedule. We also use the Acumatica framework. That's one of the things that Crestwood can offer is, we are using our development team that we have and we're certifying our products. So our advanced commission uses the Acumatica framework to be able to roll out and participate in all the functions of Acumatica. So because we use the Acumatica tools, you're getting immediate results because it resides within the system itself. We provide dashboards for tracking progress and can roll out to the different members of your team that want access and that you're allowing from a security perspective. And then we do have a way to adjust plans for bonuses or corrections. So ultimately, as I mentioned earlier, at the end of the day, you're just managing all your commissions within Acumatica efficiently. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Lori Bolsinger, and she is going to demonstrate our Advanced Commissions module live. Again, just a friendly reminder to put your questions in the Q&A chat in the meeting. So Lori, take it away.
Thank you, Colleen. I certainly appreciate that intro, and I get the fun job of giving you a tour of our Advanced Commissions module. So I'm going to start wearing the hat of an actual salesperson. I have just logged on and I am presented with my dashboard. So this is a sample commissions dashboard that we have come up with. And I'm a salesperson, Max Baker, and I can see some insights into my upcoming commissions. Like I have 3 different commission plans that I am earning commissions off of. I can see my earnings in a graph or a pie chart such as this. I can even have some KPI scorecard widgets that are telling me my month to date commissions, my year to date, and maybe some accumulated sales revenues. If I want, I can put things in more detail into a table telling me this month's commissions. What AR invoice was it? How much am I getting for commissions for this? And we'll talk about the commission statuses from this. I will say Crestwood as a company uses Acumatica internally. We also use the commissions module internally. And we have found, as well as our many customers who are using the commissions module have found, is giving insights to your salespeople as to what they are earning in commissions has been so beneficial. Because if I'm looking at this and saying, wait a minute, I'm only getting $82 from commissions off of this, I thought I was supposed to get a lot more. I am going to raise my hand, probably contact my sales manager and say, hey, I think something's wrong. Can you look at this commissions? I think it's off. And we would all prefer to catch those errors and mistakes before we pay out commissions rather than doing it on the back end. So we love giving our sales folks insights into this as well. We have also included a couple more salesy type of widgets, such as my pipeline, but even some AR. We'll see in just a minute how some options we have for setting up commission plans. But one option you have is when you want to pay out commissions. The plan can be a pay immediately plan, which means as soon as that AR invoice is released, you are ready to pay it. Or we can wait until that AR invoice is fully paid. If you are choosing the latter in your plans and waiting till the AR invoice is fully paid before you pay your sales folks commission, well, me as a salesperson, I want to know which one of my customers have overdue AR. Which ones aren't paying their invoices? So I see I have 2 accounts here that are overdue. I want to drill into this and see which one of my customers are overdue. I am the one that has the relationship with the customer. And in fact, I will have absolute incentive to give that customer a phone call and say, hey, is there something wrong with our services or our products? Wondering why you're late with the payment? When can we expect it? So we have found as a side benefit, this has helped our collections as well, because our salespeople have absolute incentive to help make sure that their accounts are current and not overdue. So with that, just another sample dashboard. If you've been working with Acumatica, you do know dashboards are meant to be modified. We can add other widgets. This was just a nice little sampling of this. So moving on from this, let's take on another role or a hat. I am going to be somebody that is managing the commissions. So whether that is somebody, in your accounting department or maybe a sales manager, but somebody that is setting up the commissions plans and overseeing the commissions. To do that, I have a new commissions workspace with our module installed. As Colleen mentioned, we have this written directly within the Acumatica framework, which means we never have to leave Acumatica to do anything with commissions. But within my commissions workspace, I do want to assure you that our module still succumbs to the same role-based security that you know and love within Acumatica, which means only people that are managing commission plans will even have this commissions workspace on there. So this won't necessarily be something that you will give to a salesperson, but more the managers or that, accounting person that might be managing sales commissions. But within this workspace, I can set up my commission plans. I can then tie salespeople to commission plans. We can also use this to automate the calculation of commissions. We have an approval process, and we can use this to pay out commissions. So that's what we're going to be doing for the next, 30 to 40 minutes that we have on this call. So let's start with our commission plans. I have in my demo system 5 different commission plans set up. You can have as many or as few as makes sense. Each commission plan can, of course, have a specific name that's a little more descriptive. There are 2 different plan types you can create, a flat rate or a quota type. We'll see examples of both of those in a minute. All commission plans can have a start and an end date. And that is important because if I want to, let's say for the month of July, we have some overstock in a certain product, and I want to give my sales folks extra incentive to sell that product, I might create just a temporary plan. Just for the month of July, if you sell XYZ product, we're going to give you an additional 2% of commission on top of your regular commissions. I can just set up a new plan, have it start on July 1st and end on July 31st, and I don't have to worry about anything after the time frame that I'm setting up that plan. So start and end dates are available. Frequency is how often you are paying out this commission. We support biweekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. So we have a few options for how often you are going to pay out. And I also mentioned the payout type immediately, which means as soon as that AR invoice is released, or we can wait till that invoice is fully paid or closed as well. So those are our choices in here. Let's get a little more specific and dive into a plan so you get a couple flavors of a few plans that you can set up in here. Now, as I show my plans, I'm going to start with a simple plan. And then as we move on, I will get into some more advanced plans or complex plans in here. So the first plan I have set up here is called the percent of product profit. It is a flat rate plan. Within our plans, there are 2 different tools you can use in Acumatica to set up and calculate the plans. Both of these tools are already native to Acumatica. That is not something Crestwood created. These are available within Acumatica already. One of the tools is called the Expression Builder. The Expression Builder, if you are familiar with the Expression Builder, great. I am not going to go through and show you how to use the Expression Builder, but at a high level, I will say it's very similar to setting up a formula in Excel, except instead of referencing cells in your spreadsheet, you're going to be referencing fields within Acumatica. So I am using the Expression Builder to build out my plan. Now, this particular plan has 2 rules. You can have as many rules as you would like in the plan. Each rule will state a condition. And if this condition is met, here is the calculation it's going to do. So again, I am using the Expression Builder to state my condition and to create the calculation. So just to give you an idea, this first line item is saying, I'm looking at that AR transaction and the inventory ID on there, and I'm technically looking to the left or the first 3 characters of that inventory ID. If the first 3 characters of the inventory ID is equal to toy, we are going to take the extended price, we are going to subtract out the cost of that, and then multiply it by some number or some percentage. And here, in this case, I'm giving 5%. My second rule is also looking at that AR transaction, the inventory ID. And if it equals to this particular inventory ID, I'm going to do a similar calculation with a different percentage on there. So that is starting with a simple commission plan, the percent of product profit. And this one, again, is using the Expression Builder to build out a plan. So that's one flavor of plan. Let's move on to the second plan that I have set up in my system. Instead of a flat rate plan, this one is a quota plan. And a quota plan really needs to take into consideration the start and end date because I'm going to accumulate something and I need to hit that quota in order for me to get paid out commissions or to get paid a bonus. Now, what you are going to accumulate in here, I am looking at the extended price on the AR invoice. So I'm basically looking at revenue in this example. You can pick other fields within Acumatica or on those AR invoices that you want to accumulate. In my case, I am just looking at revenues. And down below, I am setting up my rules saying once I hit accumulated, all of my invoices at once equal to 10,000 in accumulated revenue, I'll pay out a $100 bonus. And then I have these other tiers that I have set up in here. I made this very simple. This could have been more of a calculation for a minimum, as well as a calculated value of what you're going to pay out. But we can set up some quota plans is the point as well. So that's the second type of plan, is the quota plan. My third plan that I will give an example of, this is where it really gets fun. So this plan is called my commission by item class. Instead of using the expression builder to build out this plan, I am using a generic inquiry. For any of you who are familiar with generic inquiries in Acumatica, you probably hear about generic inquiries or GIs often. Then you know a GI is a very powerful tool where I can query data within my ERP system in order to pull out whatever data that I am looking for. This is truly the power of our module, the generic inquiry. In fact, I like to put it in simple terms. As long as the data you need to create your plans and to do the plan calculation is in Acumatica, you can write a generic inquiry to grab that data, state those conditions, and to have it run those calculated results for the most part. As long as the data is in Acumatica, really it gives you kind of a limitless view of plans that you can create. Now, I will say there is a flip side to the generic inquiry. Even though it's very powerful and it gives you some very robust options, it does take some technical skills to write a generic inquiry. Typically, your end user is not writing a generic inquiry. This is more reserved for your power users or folks in your IT department. So I do want to always point out that flip side. If you are somebody that has a very robust IT department that has already been working with Acumatica and writing generic inquiries, that is fantastic, no issue. If you need to lean on Crestwood, we are certainly more than happy to help you write generic inquiries. Or for those of you who might be using another partner as well, you can probably lean on your partner to help you with those GIs. But once the GIs are written, that's what you can use in order to calculate whatever you need to. So in this case, I wrote a GI to look up the item class. Now, why did I write a GI instead of just using the expression builder? Well, because the data that I'm looking up is not directly on that AR invoice anywhere, in which case I need to pull in other tables or other information from Acumatica. And in this case, I am pulling out not only that AR invoice and what's the inventory ID on that item AR invoice, but I need to look up what item class that inventory ID is associated with. So that's the use case for when you would need a GI. So I have a GI that is pulling that in there. Again, I am not going to confuse anybody on here and tell you how to write GIs. That could be for a whole other webinar series if we wanted to. But within here, my GI is using these calculated results. In a nutshell, it's saying if the item class is equal to food, I want you to do this calculation. If it equals to this, do another calculation, and so on and so forth. So depending on the item class of the stock or non-stock items that are on that AR invoice. So that is a third type of plan within here using the generic inquiry. I'm going to talk about one more little functionality. Some of you might have noticed this roll-up plan in here. The roll-up plan is another type of function that we can add to our plans that are using generic inquiries. The general rule for all plans is that you're going to associate a salesperson with the plan. And the rule is it's the salesperson associated with that plan and that AR invoice who is going to be earning commissions. But what if there's somebody else, not necessarily the salesperson, but something related, somebody else besides the salesperson associated with that needs to be earning commissions? This is a great use case for a roll-up plan. And my example in here is a manager. If I'm a sales manager and I have 5 salespeople that report to me, I might be earning some commissions based on what all of my sales reps are earning. And in this case, I am earning like 1% of whatever my sales reps are selling in here, as an example. But the roll up plan removes the condition that it's the sales rep that is earning it. But instead, my generic inquiry that I am associating with this plan is looking up something related to the sales rep. And in this case, I can look up who that sales rep reports to or who is their manager. And it's the manager that's going to earn commissions instead of the sales rep in this plan. So just another use case for using a roll-up plan, anything else related to that. So those are kind of 4 types of plans that I have set up in here just to give you a little flavor of the various types of plans. So that is going to be your first step working with the commissions module, is setting up your commission plans. Once your commission plans are set up, then you will be setting up salespeople within the module. All salespeople can be tied to whatever commission plans that they should be earning commissions on. So I have Max Baker here. He is earning commissions on these 3 different plans. I can go to Jason, who's earning it on 2 different plans. Michael is a manager. He's only earning commissions from the manager's commission plans. So you will tie salespeople to various commission plans. That is your second step. I will also mention for anybody who is using commission draws within here, this is newly added to our commissions module, but we can now even calculate draws. So if you have some sales folks that you're going to give a draw and say, we're going to allow you a draw of $2,000 a month, we can even add draws or advances in here, and the system can auto calculate before you pay out commissions. Have they met their draw? And if they haven't, we can do an adjustment to make sure that they go up to their draw. If they have, we're going to keep track of a draw balance within here for each salesperson. So you can also associate a draw with any salesperson as well. So that is your second step. You set up commission plans. You tie salespeople to the commission plans that they are earning commissions on. The next step for kind of setting up is then you have to tie salespeople to commissionable entities. And there is a hierarchy to commissionable entities. The first level of hierarchy is going to be at the customer record. With our module installed, you will see a salesperson tab. And our salesperson tab looks a little different than what you're seeing with standard out of box without our module installed. But this salesperson tab is saying that Max Baker is going to earn 100% commissions from anything sold to this specific customer. I'm going to move on to the next customer to show you another example here. If you have a customer with multiple locations, such as this customer, which has 3 locations, on the salesperson tab, you can even tie a salesperson to only this customer's particular location. So Max is earning 100% commission off of anything sold just to the main location. Jason and Steve are splitting anything sold to Chicago. They're doing an 80-20 split, and Pam is earning everything from Vegas in this case. With these splits, we can split between salesperson. I also want to mention with the splits, even though I have an 80-20 split that equals to 100%, that is not a hard, fast requirement. We could technically split this, anything sold to Chicago. Both Jason and Steve earn 100% of it. The system will allow this to happen if you would like that to. The reason that this could work is because Jason might be in a completely different plan than Steve. Maybe they have different roles. Maybe Jason's like my outside rep who actually sold it, and Steve could be the inside rep who is doing something else with this as well. And so we have their commission plans already determining what percentage they get. So you might say, I want them to earn 100% of whatever plans they are in has calculated. If this is a use case where Jason and Steve are the same roles, they both sold this, and we're always going to do an 80-20 split, that might be a good use case to do the 80-20 split if they're in the same plan. But when I am choosing this 80% split, what that means is whatever the plan is calculating, it's now going to only give them 80% of that calculation. So I don't mean to mention that to confuse anyone. I just mention it to show you the flexibility in how you can think of these splits and how they could work. So that's going to be your second step, is tying them to a customer record. Now, I said there is a hierarchy to this. The next hierarchy I'm going to talk about is for those that are using sales orders. I'm going to go ahead and create a sales order here. So we're going to say Alta Ace is going to purchase some item from us. And in fact, I always like to think of chocolates in the afternoon. So maybe I want a little snack later, but I'm going to order 100 of these for here. As I am building out a sales order, we will notice that there is a commission split button. From the commission split, it is telling me that Max is going to earn 100% of this. And of course, that's because Max was associated with my customer up here. If I want to, and if I have permission to do so, while I am entering the sales order, if it wasn't really Max that sold it, but maybe somebody else, I could enter a new salesperson at this point in here. Or I can do a split if I need to. So we can modify this as needed during sales order entry. So that's kind of the second hierarchy of how you can handle these. It's going to be at the sales order entry. So it'll take what's on the customer record by default. If you don't switch anything, it'll keep whatever's on the customer record, but it can be modified during sales order entry. There's a third level of hierarchy, and I'm going to do this quick process just to do a quick pick, pack, and ship. And I want to get to the point where the system is going to prepare an invoice for me. So this might take a couple seconds in here. But as it's going through, it should create a shipment document. It should then update my inventory levels and then get me to an AR invoice. Once it gets to the AR invoice, I'm going to say that is the final level of what it's going to look at. The AR invoice is the actual source of truth. So once this AR invoice is created, I'll have a commission split on the AR invoice. This will automatically bring over whatever commissions were on that sales order. But I can change it here once the AR invoice is created. So if I want to go back and saying Max is going to earn 100%, I can do that at this point. But at this point, I always like to say this is last calls to make sure your commissions are correct. Because at this point, the system actually doesn't care who is associated with the customer record or who is associated with that sales order record. This is the record of truth, is a sales order invoice. So whichever salesperson is associated with the AR invoice, that's the one who is going to earn commissions on there. So want to make sure that hierarchy is understood. It starts at the customer. You can adjust it as you're entering the sales order, and you can also adjust it again at the AR invoice, realizing the AR invoice is the source of truth. Now, before we move on to showing you how to calculate commissions, I want to talk about another module. Within our system, we also work with projects as well. So any of you in construction or doing any kind of projects as well, we work with the projects module as well. I'm going to quickly open up a project. On any project that you open up, there will also be a salesperson tab. When you create a project that you associate with the customer, whoever's associated with that customer record will immediately be added to that project in here as the salesperson of record. Now, just like when we created a sales order, if you want to update it here as you are creating the project, you can. You can overwrite it from the project, but by default, it will take whoever is on the customer record. This also works with project tasks. I have a very simple project with only one task, but if I have multiple tasks, I can even associate a salesperson with a task. Now, as I'm setting up my project, the tasks and the default salesperson will be the same salesperson that's associated with the project, but I can overwrite it here as well. So each task can have a different salesperson that earns commissions on any AR invoices that we run based on that task. Now, let me move on and talk about the final step within projects in here. And that's, of course, using project billing. So I just have this progress project, and let's say I am now 20% complete with this revenue item associated with this task, of course, and I have a pending invoice in here. When I run project billing based on this, it is going to look at who is associated with that project task that's associated with this, and it will give that salesperson commission. I can, just like we saw in the sales order processing, overwrite it before I release this AR invoice. So if this is really not who should be earning commissions, we can modify it at this time. I'm just going to keep it as max and release this AR invoice. So that is your hierarchy for who is earning commissions, both with sales orders and with projects. So let's move on now that we've got some items in here and we have AR invoices with salespeople associated with it. We will want to use the module to calculate commissions. So I can come into calculate commissions and do this manually, but this is a processing screen. For those of you familiar with processing screens in Acumatica, you might be familiar with this very fun clock icon. This is how I can automate the calculation by adding this to a schedule. So if you want to automate the calculation of commissions to happen at 3 o'clock in the morning, so that when your sales folks come in first thing in the morning, they'll see an updated dashboard with what was calculated the night before, feel free to do that. You can also run this manually. I also have some nice little filters up here. If I had 50 plans and I wanted to just select a plan, I can do that from here. If I'm just curious per salesperson, maybe I'm just interested in just calculating Max Baker's commissions, I can do some filtering up in here. If you are doing filtering, you will get a nice user-friendly warning that it's only going to calculate commissions for this salesperson. So just be aware if you want to calculate for all, make sure you don't have any filters from up here selected. But I could start selecting each plan. I can select them all, and then you're familiar with either process or process all. I'll go ahead and process them all so we can go through and calculate for all of the plans. I want to mention warnings are very, very common. And if I look at the warnings, this is just saying for that first commission plan, no invoices met the criteria defined in that plan. So if you remember, that was the one that we were paying off of a toy. I didn't sell any toys, so there is no commissions calculated. And that second one was a tier bonus or the quota plan, and it's just saying we haven't reached that next tier where I could earn a bonus. So that's why no commissions were calculated. If I look at what processed, there was something within our commission plan 3 that was processed, but just wanted to let you know, no worries if you get a warning. It's just telling you nothing was calculated. Now, if I head back to my commission dashboard, again, taking on the role of Max Baker, the salesperson here, I can see I have 2 new commissions that were calculated in here. Because I sold some food and it was in that item class, I'm able to see what my commissions amount were, as well as this PM contract in here. So we have a couple calculations in here. Notice the status. The status is going to be very important as well. I've already paid a couple commissions as well, but I have something in accrued and a calculated status. When you first calculate, it's going to be listed as a calculated status in here. There is another status after commissions are approved. We can go through this approval process. And as a reminder, this still succumbs to role-based security. So you'll typically have this being maybe your sales managers need to approve it for all of their sales folks. So if I am logged on as a sales manager, I will probably only see the commissions calculated for my salespeople under me. Of course, we have some filters up here if I'm in charge of them all and I'm just wanting to look at one salesperson at a time, I can go ahead and filter them from up here if I want to. But this gives me the option to look at what was the commissionable amount, was there a split, what was the AR invoice. So if I need to click in there and take a look at the AR invoice, I can see that. If I need to remind myself what plan was this, I can click in there and say, oh yeah, the commissions by item class, and I believe this was food. What percentage are they supposed to get? Okay, that looks good. And I can just start selecting each commission and deciding if I approve them. So it's just selecting them one at a time and going ahead and approving them. Once a commission is approved, I'm going to head back to my dashboard so we can see the new commission status. It could go into one of two statuses. Mine went directly to an accrued status. The reason mine went to an accrued status is because my commission plan, as you remember, was a pay immediately plan, which means as soon as that AR invoice is released, I'm going to pay it. If this plan were an unpaid invoice plan, once a commission is approved, it will move into an approved status, not an accrued status. Any approved commissions, as soon as that AR invoice is paid, commissions in an approved status will automatically move over to an accrued status. The point is your sales folks get used to accrued is good because accrued means on my next payout or commission payout check, I will be expecting this commissions to be showing up on there. So you will get used to, they get used to that from within there. So I've got a couple accrued commissions. There is one more status within here, and that is a ready for payment status. Now, typically, all you have to do is wait for the commission payout period to happen based on your plan and how often or the frequency of that payout. Anything in an accrued status will automatically move over to a ready for payment status. So for example, I believe these plans were monthly plans. So come July 1st, the accrued statuses should move over automatically to a ready for payment status. Now, we always know there is exceptions to rules in here where I might need to mark some commissions ready for payment. Who knows? Maybe I made some, deal with Max saying, you know what, I'll pay you early for this. I don't know, whatever the deal is, but I can go through and process all of Max's and say that those accrued are now ready for payment. And we'll see that move on to that ready for payment status. Again, typically, you just let the system work, but we know there's exceptions to rules. So those with permission to do so could force something from an accrued status to a ready for payment status. The final step within our commissions module is we can use commissions to pay out the commissions. We did not overthink the payout of commissions. If you are paying your internal sales reps via payroll, we didn't overthink this because there are so many different payroll systems out there. Not sure which ones anyone is using, not sure how many sales reps you have. If you just have 5 sales reps, it might be just as easy for you to manually enter their commissions for them. If you have hundreds of sales reps, you might want to do more of an import into your payroll systems in order to manage that. However you're going to do that, here's what we came up with. You open up this pay commissions, it's going to show you all of the commissions that are in that ready for payment status. Before you pay it out, you just hit this export to Excel button. Some of you might be familiar with that. We see this throughout Acumatica. So we can export this data into Excel. Once it's exported to Excel, like I said, based on your system, you go ahead and do whatever you need to do with it. You can manipulate the data in Excel. You can decide if you can get it into a format that your payroll system can import it, or you're just going to be able to see those balances and manually enter it into your payroll system. But we didn't overthink this. You're going to have all of the ready for payment commissions in an Excel spreadsheet so that you can pay through payroll as you see fit. I will say the easy thing to do then, after you've exported it to Excel and you've paid, you do want to process these commissions so that they are marked as paid. And of course, that's important so you don't pay any commission twice to any of your sales folks. So you do want to process them as that. This is if you are processing commissions through payroll, which we find tends to be the case if you have internal employees. We do know there are some cases that some of you might have some external employees or some reps or another rep firm that is selling your products for you that you need to pay commissions to. If that is the case, on the salesperson tab, there is this vendor option. If Max was really not a W-2 employee, but he's a 1099 and we have another vendor that is our rep, that firm that is selling for us that we need to pay commissions to, all I have to do is select a vendor that this person is associated with. The beauty of selecting a vendor is any salesperson who is selected to a vendor, as soon as I choose this process, it will automatically create an AP bill for me to pay out those salespeople that are associated with vendors. So anyone associated with the vendor, an AP bill can be created if you're going to be paying them through AP, and we'll be able to see that over in AP as well. Anyone that is not associated with it, it just marks it as ready for payment. But here I'll be able to see that bill that was automatically created since they were associated with the vendor with all of the line items included on there. So in a nutshell, this was our full commission plans. So what we did today is we started talking about the commission dashboard and how that will give your salespeople full insights into commissions that they have earned. We can use the commission module to create simple or more robust plans, taking advantage of native Acumatica functionality like the expression builder and the generic inquiry, so you can create calculations for virtually any data that is being stored in Acumatica. You can also use the module to automate calculating commission and take advantage of the built-in approval process. And as you saw, paying commissions is a breeze with the option to create AP bills or simply export to an Excel spreadsheet to aid with entry into your payroll system. So the bottom line, instead of pulling reports out of your system, manipulating that data, and running calculations in multiple spreadsheets, you can now let the system do the work for you. In the end, no matter how complicated your plans, this will simplify your commissions process, and all while never having to leave Acumatica. So with that, I'm going to ask Colleen, were there any Q&A, any questions that we should be addressing in here that haven't already been addressed?
Hi, Lori. No, thanks. Great job on the demo. Thank you so much for showcasing that. Yeah, we had a couple questions come through Q&A. We've already been able to address and respond to those. We have some good feedback or input, I guess, on how we can enhance some functionality here and there throughout the system, but send that over to Dove and let them do their magic. But yeah, great job. Thanks so much. Maybe we can give it just another minute while we have Kayla post our poll and see if there's any additional questions. Looks like we do have a question, Lori. So commissions are only calculated based off an AR invoice being generated, correct?
I'm going to say yes, that is correct. However, I do want to point out one other option that I didn't mention in a commission plan. There is an option to create a draft commission plan. With the draft commission plan, it can help you calculate off of a sales order instead of an AR invoice. So yes, but it's really driven and meant to be used with an AR invoice. So whoever asked that, if they were looking for some other information, we'd be happy to have further conversations with you to see your use case for wanting to calculate commission somewhere else.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. We have another one that just came in about, can prior periods be recalculated?
Prior periods be recalculated. So Recalculation can happen in a couple different ways. I will say once a commission has been paid, it is not going to go through and recalculate anything on this AR invoice once it's been paid. So that brings me to another point, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. If there is something that has been changed in an AR invoice, or you've updated an AR invoice or anything of that nature, maybe I missed the sales rep and I had to update the sales rep. As long as I haven't paid out that commission, and let's say I change that AR invoice to a new sales rep, then we're good. It will automatically recalculate for the new sales rep and remove that commission from the old sales rep. But it will not do that once the commission is paid. But with that, we do have an option to make commission adjustments manually. We all know that every once in a while, I can pick a commission adjustment in here and enter this, whether positive or negative. So if somebody earned commission they shouldn't have, I can come in here and you get to decide what status I'm going to post this commission into, whether I want to calculate it, approve, or maybe just go right to ready for payment. If you have branches, you can select the multiple branches you have. And a commission adjustment, again, positive or negative if we overpaid them. And you have to select the salesperson as well. As I am doing this, the rest of the options in here are for your information only. This is just if I need to reference the exact commission that I'm pulling it back from. This is all of those individual commission calculations. I can reference that. If I want, I can reference the plan that originally calculated. I can reference a net sales amount or a line commission percentage. This doesn't change anything. It's really the person and the adjustment amount that's going to be added to it. So you can do some manual adjustments to commissions if you need to as well. And with that, I will say, I'm not sure if this was asked in there. People have often asked about returns. What if I get a return which gives me a credit memo for that sales order? Credit memos are treated as negative commissions. So when you have a return and something comes back in, it will calculate it as a negative commission to even everything out. Were there any other questions, Colleen?
We have a couple more that are coming in.
Great.
One is, can the aggregate source data used to calculate commissions be exported since data will change over time?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let me make sure I'm understanding what that is. Colleen, if you had some more insights into that. I'll say this, all of the commission transactions, the individual line items that are being calculated are listed right in here in this screen. Of course, we can use native Acumatica functionality to do some things like there's a commission date. So if I want to go back and see another period, maybe just what was from, last period, I can do some filtering within there. But that export to Excel is available. So you will be able to export that commission data as you need to and manipulate it however you want to. We also do have some inquiries that are in here, like a salesperson by commissions plan that does help you run some more kind of reporting like that as well. So yes, the data is in here. You'll always be able to access past data in history.
Okay. Another question came in, can a commission be split based on a secondary value such as territory, location, or city state and a specific product class?
That I again would love to see the use case for that, but that might be managed with a combination of who it's being split on the customer record and your commission plan. So when you're setting up your commission plan, I would say it would be making sure that GI is created properly so that you have all of those rules or those if statements set up properly, like if it's to this it could be a customer in a particular class, and if it's an item in a particular class. But yes, that sounds like a very complicated GI, but it's certainly something that can be written based on multiple criteria. And we'd have to see some of the use cases in there to look at writing that.
Correct. We have some really good questions that are coming in here.
Love it.
So I'm going to make an assumption on this question, but it's can payments be tracked so that when a new commission is calculated, the prior payments will not be duplicated? So my assumption is how if you're exporting to payroll, how does the system know that you've already paid on that commission or that transaction?
The only way the commission would know is after I come to this pay commissions and I have to process those. And that, again, I'm not seeing anything now because I don't have anything in a ready for payment status. But once I process those, it moves that into a paid status so that I don't repay those. So yes, you do run the risk if I forgot to hit process and I went into pay commissions and just hit Excel here and I left it and never chose to process those commissions. That you don't want to do. But yes, this is telling the system I've already paid it.
Perfect. And then looks like one more. What if you have a plan where they earn 10% for a plan year unless they meet a threshold?
Mhm.
So all commissions for the year would get trued up to that new percent because they met the threshold.
And I probably need to have a little more information about the
Okay.
use case, but I will say I'm going back to the plan and it's how we write the GIs. If you have those thresholds, again, and we've worked with those that work with thresholds. Maybe you have the threshold set on the salesperson record that you say, here is the threshold and here is your percentage. Maybe you have an attribute associated with the salesperson that it can look that up. Then we write the GIs to look up those thresholds. But yes, we've worked with folks that do kind of a sliding scale, and it's really going to be about how you write that GI. It becomes a more complicated GI to write, but it's absolutely doable.
Perfect. Um, let's see. I think one more just came in. Oh, so Arnie, I'll send you our contact information. So I think that's it for right now, Lori. And yeah, this was great. Thanks a lot for showcasing this and answering all the questions. And appreciate everybody attending. And just know that you can reach out to us at any point in time. At the end of the day, if you're not sure who to connect with, you can email sales@crestwood.com. But we'll send a recording with email follow-up tomorrow. Appreciate everybody attending and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone, and thanks, Colleen.
Yep. Thanks, Lori.